Purim is a festival celebrating a story of deliverance of the Jews from destruction in ancient Persia that we celebrate every year. It all starts when Ahasuerus, king of Persia, holds a massive party and invites his wife, Queen Vashti, to show off her beauty. He thinks it's a great idea, but she sees it a bit differently, and this is what she has to say.
Marriage counselling won't save us, oh my dear Ahasuerus. This whole razzmatazz and rave has not done either of us favours. So possessed and keen, all these guests just stream from all over Persia to molest the queen. As I'm paraded out the front, the way I'm dressed obscene. But how on earth could my own husband dare suggest the theme? As I receive the invitation and then read the information, my temper's seething in relation to its peeving intimation that I'm expected there this evening just to feed the scintillation of the evil inclination, if you see the implication. Well, you can move on, Scrooge, I'm not your fool or stooge. I eschew your huge Moulin Rouge / President's Club. It's an unhesitant snub, although I think I've gone too far for my malevolent hub. But I thought it worth the risk to bare my soul and defy. You just don't know what you'll get when you're rolling the die.
But besides the rebellious wife, the king's occupied with other matters. His servant Haman approaches him for the power to carry out a certain project. But this project is actually quite sinister, as Haman now explains.
Now that fuss is out the way, the king can see things clear. So now he's focused on important things like my career. And he's promoted me to take on an important sphere, to commandeer a pressing issue that's really quite severe. See, there's this group from the land of Judah whose attitude could not be ruder, with all these strange laws of their own, and this weird thing called a Suda, an intruder we've excused. But it's game up for these Jews. Plus there's one man in particular who makes me blow a fuse. They call him Mordechai. He won't obey my order, why? I'm mortified how the guy won't get on the floor to lie. Prostrate, right beneath me, even when I yell at him. As he says, he bows to no one, except for Elohim. Now I don't know who that is, but he's not as great as me. To have that Mordechai strung up is what I just can't wait to see. But there was this one occasion that really cuts deep. One night the king lay wide awake and couldn't get to sleep, so he asked someone to read to him his book of yester crimes, and came upon a certain entry that withstood the test of times, cause it told of this man Mordechai uncovering a plot to have the king murdered, but then everyone forgot. So his majesty rewarded him for this so-called loyal deed, and had me lead him through the town atop the royal steed. Indeed I thought Mordechai and every Jew was a goner, but then I find out he's the man the king wants to honor. Well, voila and tada, why don't you take a look at moi? I've just spun a lucky date, the 13th of Adar, for them to die and decline in a design so malign, to remind them that I'm all that's high and divine. And then I'll hang Mordechai from a pole in the sky. You just don't know what you'll get when you're rolling the die.
But what Haman doesn't know is that the king's new wife, Queen Esther, who replaced Vashti, is herself secretly Jewish, and she's on a mission to save her people, courtesy of her uncle Mordechai, and it's high stakes, as Esther bears her soul as follows.
They say of my predecessor, for the smallest thing he'd oppress her. But now I ask, O Lord above, what on earth could be the lesser of two evils bright and gory? See, there's my people's plight before me, but if he learns I'm one of them, it'll be a frightful story for my own life. But I'm his wife when I think of my position. Why uncle sent me on this mission, why I went for that audition. Was it just for pure ambition, so I could get my own beautician, or to bring through my petition Hashem's plan into fruition? So I approach my husband's throne as I hear my stomach groan. 3 days of fasting brings it home, and yes, I may seem all alone, but I know that my protector is with me in this spectre of life or death conjecture as I focus on his scepter. All thanks to God, he's sweet. He grants what I entreat when I ask if he will eat lunch on me, bon appetit, and that he also brings his deputy so I can speak to both, not separately, on one or two things within the dominion for which they may need a second opinion. I don't know if I'll succeed, but it's consoling to try. You just don't know what you'll get when you're rolling the die.
So Esther sets out to expose Haman's plans. Meanwhile, her uncle Mordechai anxiously waits to see if she'll come through. Will she? It's make or break now, as Mordechai explains. I'm like an old bloomin' spy stood outside the palace gate, as I wonder if the Jewish people ever shall escape. Will my niece inside now stem the tide and set this malice straight?
Or will she join the rest of us to meet a callous fate? A smash comes out of nowhere as I hear a chalice break, and next I see the king outside in a quite embarrassed state. I feel my talus shake as he calls his gendarme. Come and take this man away before he causes more harm. And I demand that right away he withdraws his long arm from around my precious queen.
And on the floor is Haman, the Agagite, Amalekite, king's acolyte. Ain't that a sight? The situation's black and white. It's clear his plan's been flattened quite. My niece looks glad as soldiers drag this grim monster from her, and now it seems I'm once again the man the king wants to honor. And that's the story of the Megillah, in which an aspiring blood spiller tried to exterminate our people without leaving one scintilla. Indeed, he wanted to fulfill her desire to be a killer. Yet we live to thank Hashem when we offer our tefillah. But there's more that meets the broader eye, cause they, Esther and Mordechai, knew they had to act, even while they asked the Lord to try. So they took the initiative to thwart this slaughter nigh, right before this awful guy was able to succeed, which meant we weren't at all to die. So we learn from this great rigmarole. We read as we relive the scroll, that although God has the big control, He wants us to live life with the goal. That although we must acknowledge He's controlling from high, sometimes our biggest test is when we're rolling the die.